Alrighty guys, so in the last episode you watched me make this snorkel from scratch, and in this episode we're going to be ending up making this airbox that's going to go straight in and replace the factory one. Join me guys for this roller coaster, and it's not even fully done yet. Enjoy the video. Next up is I've got to make the airbox. I've got 1.6mm stainless sheet in there, which hopefully I can score and cut up and fold. I'm gonna try and put a clear lid on it with some acrylic. Next thing, I'm gonna draw up some templates and then we can start making this airbox. In the meantime, I'm gonna order some more pipe so that we can start also doing some bends here and then bringing it through into the actual intake. So yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, from my lips, all the space, find it hard to fit. Spark my shade, like the stars inscribing hieroglyphs. Different realms in the upside down, chilling with Will. Outside the box and they couldn't tell. The inside blind soul, see up in myself. Be a god on a tour like this, more like this. Less remorse the older I get. Real as it seems, they don't wanna know. Close your petty eyes, fall inside the hole. Geronimo. Back to the bottom, you off the new college and shit. That's why I must have forgot you exist. Losing all sense in the bottomless pit, and I feel like the only one talking like this. I've seen hell, what you know about that? Yeah, I grew to survive on my own, no assist. Take pride, and that's a fact. Swank like Hillary, fall to fall, that's all year. Take off on a protocol, a prototype revolve, going sun to night. The moon, the skies are giving me a whole new light.
It is the next day. Unfortunately, yesterday my camera went flat, and I didn't get much of a shot of me bending and finishing off this airbox frame. Oh, I got the hiccups. And I sort of just scored across where each bend was gonna be, just to make the bending a little bit easier. And then I just tried to bend it in place. After it's tacked together, I'm gonna trace out a plate for the top, which is gonna be the lid. I mean, today I'm just gonna try and tack up some of these walls and see how we go. All right, so my main concern is punching through these corners a bit, because some of them there's a little gap. But yeah, other than that, let's fire it up and start going.
Good night, yeah, what a night. Leave a mark in the skylight, shooting stars, it's so bright in the night. Alright.
So we only had one blowout, and the reason I think it did that is because, well, one, I was trying to do it without filler so that I could hold it together a little bit easier, and two, because it was right on the edge. So just there, you can sort of see it in there. It's a bit of a crater at the top, but we'll see what we can do about that. Next thing I'm going to try and do is set it up in place so that I have stuff to lean on and all that, and then I'm going to try and just fill in, you know, between each of these tacks, and essentially make the whole thing one solid brick.
Attracting familiar vibes, doing this one at a time, I can feel it, we so close. Been gripping the knot throughout the coldest winters, taking on adventures, trying to pay attention to the past life, wondering how long it lasts, gone through the darkest tunnels with no flashlight, I get it. Alright,
so we've got one stitch done. Had a little bit of an issue here with like a bit of a blowout there, but I managed to fill it in so you can sort of see with the with the heat where it was, and I know why. I had the torch sitting too high, so it was just getting a bit too much heat. For the purpose of the first one, I think it's alright. Hopefully by the end of this, it's going to be looking good. And then for the actual pipe of the snorkel, we can make them look real nice. So yeah, onto the next strip.
Like this, you never know. Learn to love, and now sometimes I keep my head under control. Taking my high to the lows, catching a vibe and my eyes never close. Mumbling like I've been sleep talking, sleeping on me, but I keep walking. I feed off it. Been a minute, hasn't it? Come quite far from the first in the past, now better than your average. Great passion, no stop clock, take action. No stop now might happen.
It's one of the great wonders of life. You know that very well. Never learned to produce this miracle.
Never enough, get a dose up. Live for the moment, I know. Seems like we're just getting closer. Well, maybe I'm talking to ghosts. Attracting familiar vibes, doing this one at a time, I can feel it, we so close. Been gripping the knot throughout the coldest winters, taking on adventures, trying to pay attention.
Alright guys, so here is the airbox. I've welded up all of the sides. This last one that I did is by far the best that I've ever done of a TIG, so I'm pretty proud of that. So now what I'm going to do is flip this upside down and trace a lid for it. So let me quickly do that. So this here is our template for our lid. So what I'm going to do is cut this out, and then I'm going to measure in maybe 25mm all the way around, just so that I can then drill holes to have a nut and bolt through it. So I'm going to cut this out now and get a move on with the the top.
Never been known, get a dose up. Live for the moment, I know. Seems like we're just getting closer. Well, maybe I'm talking to ghosts. Attracting familiar vibes. Doing this one at a time. I can feel it, we so close. Been gripping the knot throughout the coldest winters. Taking on adventures, trying to pay attention to the past life. Wondering how long it lasts. Gone through the darkest tunnels with no flashlight.
Well, now I've got this little lip cut out, I guess you could call it. Before I weld it in or anything like that, I need to do two crucial things. I need to make sure that this filter can go in and out with room to spare. Because obviously when there's a pipe in there, in order to get it out, I'm going to have to take it off the pipe. So if I have the pipe sort of sitting right there, that leaves me heaps of room for me to pull it forward and then out. So just got to make sure that there is room for me to oh my goodness. I've got to make sure that there is room for me to actually be able to change the filter out, which there is. Secondly, before this is on, it will definitely help if I drill the holes before I tack the lid on. So I'm gonna have to go to Bunnings and get some hole saws, some 3-inch hole saws, which I can do, easy enough. And then I've got these sections here that I'm gonna try and use. So this I'm gonna put on the inside and sort of face it downwards a little bit. And the reason I'm gonna face it downwards a little bit is so that the filter sort of sits at an angle like that. And that just makes it easier for me to reach the hose clamp there. But in order to figure all of that out, we need to first drill these holes. To do that, I need to get this hole saw. So I best be off. Alrighty guys, so I've commandeered the garage and got the Luxie in here, and we're going to take the stock airbox out because I've figured that before I, go ahead too much with the airbox, I should make sure that it fits, and I was actually going to make its brackets, make the mounting brackets so that I can attach it. That way I can mark out where I need these holes to be on the airbox to make sure that they line up with this hole here and somewhat line up with this pipe. I can always get some silicone pipes and make stuff work for that intake, but that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take that old airbox out and put this new one in.
You wear a hat they call dad. Me, I'm the dad in a hat. You just like clubbing and clothes. Me, I like afternoon naps. 3 happy meals for the road. My oldest like counting racks. My middle one, she's in a dirt bike. My youngest is just like a mama.
Alright guys, so there's been a big unfortunate mistake. So I was having a real tough time getting these mounts welded. I think today I've done a lot, and so I was a little bit overconfident. Yeah, I'm not proud. You can see here that there's been some warping. We've got a big bow here and a smaller bow here, and that in turn makes this plate that I cut out, which fit perfectly before, might add. It just, I've done a little bit of fixing up, but it just doesn't, you can see where I sort of bent this back a little. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit more bending just to get this plate to fit again. 100% on me. I was just not thinking. It is what it is. We can't do anything about it now. I'm just gonna mount it up now, mark out where I need to cut these holes, and then I might call it a day because
The mama loves me and I love her, so if she wants something, it's never about her. 3 little ladies, my babies, and 1 on the way. Now I'm stressing my mama. And don't try to play around, don't try to play with them unless you're looking for problems. So don't try to play around, don't try to play with them. My brother's out with the drama.
Alrighty guys, it is currently the next day because yesterday, after the little mishap with everything that went wrong, I decided to call it quits and pack up. So it is the next day. Had a good night to think about what I'm going to do and how I'm going to tackle it. Yesterday we warped the airbox. That's okay because I've got a plan to combat it. So here I've got the lip that is going to go on top, and then I've cut a bit of acrylic. And what I'm going to do today, or like right now, is clamp these two together and then drill my holes where I need them to be. Once those are drilled, I can then ditch this acrylic for a little bit, and I'm going to actually weld this on. And to weld it on, I'm going to tack it where it does fit, and then sort of try and bend the box to make it fit nice. Tack it in place, then weld it so that it is structural. As you can see here, I tried to punch through it with the welder. I tried anything I could, but could not get through this. So I'm going to duck out the Bunnings and get another saw. But once this lip is on, it should increase the strength by a lot. Alrighty guys, so I've got the acrylic all drilled, and I've got the template all drilled. So now I'm going to grab the box and attempt to weld this to that. Alrighty guys, so I've had a change of plans. I was drilling up and welding the nuts to this, and I sheared one of the nuts, one of the bolts. Just threw me off, and it wasn't quite working because it wasn't fitting right. So what I'm gonna do instead is get all of these lines straight. I'm gonna recut the lid, but I'm gonna make it fit snug inside so that it actually holds everything straight. A lot has been going wrong with this, but I think if I can persevere and make an airbox out of it in the end, it'll be all super worth it. So yeah, let's recut the lid. Alrighty guys, so it is the next day. I remade the top lip. So I've remade it a little bit thicker. I did have to reuse a bit of the old one just because I didn't have enough stainless. So I just cut it to shape and then welded it in place. Look, it's not perfect, but it will do. So this has all of the right weird dimensions that the box now has. Today what we're going to do is weld this in place on top, and instead of welding on nuts on the other side, I'm going to get nut certs and then crimp them in. That way there's no welding needed, and it's nice and simple. So that's for another day. This right now is just getting welded on, so let's start ticking.
Hop in the hood, baby, and slide my way. I'll play the catcher, baby, just slide on me. Only time you lie is when you lie on me. Be my forever, baby, come ride my wave. Hop in the hood, baby, and slide my way. I play the catcher, baby, just slide on me.
Alrighty guys, so got the whole lip tacked on, well actually fully welded on, but yeah, I mean, pretty happy with how it turned out. You know, some of the welds here are looking pretty good when it focuses. There we go. Once this cools down, I'm then going to put this stuff on. This stuff right here, which is like it's like a seal with a sticky back. It's like a little P shape, if you can see that, a little P. And then that acrylic is going to make a airtight and watertight seal on the on this.
I
don't know who those people are, but I don't think they should be doing that.
You lie is when you lie on me. Be my forever, baby, come ride my wave. Hop in the hood, baby, and slide my way. I play the catcher, baby, just slide on me.
Pretty stoked with that actually. Hopefully that'll make a good seal. Obviously when it's all bolted down, this will be really pressed in nice and tight, so we'll see what happens. I'll let you guys know how it goes, but other than that, that's this job done.
Hop in the hood, baby, and slide my way. I play the catcher, baby, just slide on me. Only time you lie is when you lie on me.
Alrighty guys, so those last few shots of me putting in those nut certs. Last thing I filmed, because we're at the end of the video now, and the airbox is officially finished. Well, I say finished, but we're missing two crucial things. We got the hole on this side, which I cannot get it through. So I've gone through two hole saws, sharpened one of them, and it still won't cut through. So I think that maybe I've sort of heat tempered the stainless, I don't know. So I've got to figure out a way to get through that. Yeah, it was an absolute roller coaster. So many times I thought about turning around and throwing it out and redoing certain things, but I'm sort of glad that I persisted. It shows there's a lot of rough edges on it, and it shows that it was hand built, and it shows that it was the first time doing this sort of thing, but I'm super stoked with how it turned out. Of course it's not quality, it doesn't look amazing, but I think I'm going to leave it looking like this. I'm really glad that I stuck through and finished it. So the next step would be freaking cutting this side out. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Might have to just get a much more decent hole saw, I don't know. So yeah, next step would be to figure that out, but once that hole is in there, I can then take some of these pie cuts and weld them to the inside and outside like this. That way I can start feeding this into my intake, to the turbo, and on the outside here as well. But once it's all plumbed up, I can actually fit it into my car and use it as my air filter then, because I'm still waiting on a source for 3.5 inch stainless pipes, which I can actually use. I need a 45-degree bend, a 90-degree bend, and a small straight section to actually continue with the snorkel. If you guys have enjoyed this video, if you guys have enjoyed this roller coaster, let me know. Hit the like button down below, leave a comment. Again, I know it's not pretty, but I'm really proud of it. One last thing, if I was to do it all again, what I would do is change the order in which I did things. Definitely try and cut out the holes before you bend it all. because if it's on a flat surface, it's a heck of a lot easier to cut. The second thing I would do is is to do the mounts after the whole thing is finished. I made that mistake, and that's okay. Mistakes are made, and that's why I'm putting it in this video, so that you can learn from this and not do what I did. And lastly, just make sure you've got some practice with TIGging. So I had about 1 day prior, and I mean, I'm pretty proud of some of the welds. Some of them are a bit average. You can see a few times where I've lost the arc, but yeah, like I said, super stoked with how it turned out, and let me know what you guys think. So I'll see you guys in the next video where we start plumbing it into the car.